Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So I'll just put in some reference points. I'll probably return to these periodically. So, you get a key teaching and you kind of keep coming back to it and turning it around so it becomes established. You reflect upon it, you bear it in mind, you return to it, you penetrate a little bit, you turn it around again, you penetrate a little bit more. That's why, with often with Dhamma teachings, you're hearing the same things many times. Because the same things can strike you in different ways, in different times, in your practice, in your life. So today I'll just refer to a little reading from the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 48, Sutta 53. A bhikkhu who is a trainee understands the 5 spiritual faculties. The faculty of faith, the faculty of energy, the faculty of mindfulness, the faculty of concentration, the faculty of wisdom. He does not yet dwell having contacted with the body, their destination, their culmination, their fruit, their final goal, but having pierced it through with wisdom, he sees. This is a method by means of which a bhikkhu who is a trainee, standing on the plane of a trainee, understands, I am a trainee. And what bhikkhus is the method by means of which a bhikkhu who is one beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, understands, I am beyond training. Here bhikkhus, a bhikkhu who is one beyond training, understands the 5 spiritual faculties, the faculty of faith, the faculty of energy, the faculty of mindfulness, the faculty of concentration, the faculty of wisdom. He dwells, having contacted with the body, their destination, their culmination, their fruit, their final goal, and having pierced it through with wisdom, he sees. This is a means by which a bhikkhu beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, understands, I am beyond training. Again, a bhikkhu who is one beyond training understands the 6 faculties, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, the body faculty, the mind faculty. He understands these 6 faculties will cease completely and totally without remainder, and no other 6 faculties will arise in any way. This is a bhikkhu method by means of which a bhikkhu beyond training, standing on the plane of one beyond training, understands I am beyond training. So here we see simply placed the 5, what are called the 5 spiritual faculties. Indriya. Indriya means something that is a dominant quality. And then the sense faculties, which are the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. These are called the sense faculties. So at any given time, one of these becomes dominant. So for example, we may be eating a meal, we're not blind and deaf, and yet when we're tasting, the tongue faculty becomes a dominant feature. So it means the others are kind of in abeyance, or they can come in, we hear a sound, the ear faculty leaps up. Clearly it means the sense organs are intact all the time, they're still there, but the faculty is the kind of way, that which, where energy gathers and accumulates and heightens. So our attention and our citta is focused on that faculty, taste faculty, if we're tasting something. So the sense organs and sense consciousness itself is not really an issue. The issue is with this indriya where one becomes dominant. And so for the untrained person, then it's generally one of these faculties becomes dominant. Often the mind faculty, one's thinking, concerned, planning, worried, expecting, fashioning things with the mind. The mind faculty becomes the dominant faculty. So when we're cultivating indriya samvara, or harnessing, or gathering, or restraining, it's to do with these restraining these faculties. So the eye does not dominate, the ear, tongue, toes, taste and so forth do not dominate. Thinking mind does not dominate. Doesn't mean we don't have one, doesn't mean we can't use it, but it's not dominant. It doesn't lead. Indriya, leaders, named after Indra, king of the gods, the warrior, that which has power. Instead, the cultivation is to make faith a dominant quality, energy a dominant quality, mindfulness a dominant quality, concentration a dominant quality, wisdom a dominant quality. We bring these to the fore. Clearly we're still seeing, hearing, touching, tasting and so on, but we're not led by them. We're led by these other faculties, indriya. They have a strong sense of energy to them, they have potency, they have a certain determining quality. You're drawn by them. So just as you can be drawn by the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, taste and so forth, you can be drawn, motivated, inspired, gathered, and gather strength around. So what is happening here is we have this faculty or this domain called citta, heart, one of a better word, spirit, sometimes mind, but to distinguish it from the mind of mind consciousness, which is called mano, which is the thinker, the organizer, the abstractor, that which deals with abstracts. Citta deals with direct experience. So direct experience is that which is felt, sensed, moves us, drives us, presses down on us, lifts us up. It has definitely an energetic potential. As we can easily recognise when we're overwhelmed with passion or fear or worry, definitely this is not just an idea. It saturates the heart, it saturates the body. Body feels tight, tense, nervous, agitated, stressed. So similarly, when these faculties are properly developed, the spiritual faculties, the qualities they have also saturate the body. The body becomes light, open, bright, collected, strengthened. So when this is matured, then this is someone who's really cleaned out all the basis of sense craving, ill will, slothfulness, dullness, restlessness, and agitated doubt. and then there's no residues left. Because these are hindrances, like every other chitta effect, whether it's passion or motivation or joy or loving kindness, these chitta effects, they saturate the body internally. The aim is to clear out these negative potentials, the results of them, the reactions that rush along into the body, along certain pathways. When we get angry, rushes to the skin, heats up. When you get worried, it goes into the belly and tightens up. Feel frightened, chest caves in, feel cramped, and so on. So cleaning out these. So in fact, the body is completely cleaned and it's endowed and strengthened and refreshed and firmed up by these faculties. Then it's like it doesn't get this. It's rather like if you have wet wood. No matter how many times you put a matchstick, a light to it, it won't catch fire. And Buddha used this image. Whereas if the wood is dry, it may be okay right now, but you wait till a match drops on it, flash. So someone is really interested or deeply concerned. It's not just having a good day, but actually the potential for ill will, hostility, crabbiness, cynicism, bitterness, rancor, grudge. Ill will is a big topic. Moodiness, there's no room for it. So even if one is wrongly accused, unjustly treated, you may recognise that not very good. If you don't feel this kind of souring bitterness or rage flaring out of the heart. Similarly, one is not see things that's quite attractive, it's beautiful, very pleasant, but I don't get that rush of passion. So like the pathways have been eliminated. As the Buddha expresses, it says it's like a palm tree. When it's cut down, it's hollow, there's nothing there, there's no roots. Made like a stump, no roots. So then this being dominated by sight, sound, touch, so on, is finished. Doesn't mean they don't have ears and eyes and nose and so forth, but this dominating quality doesn't go there. So this form is cooled. So even in the presence of things that are definitely could be a cause of anxiety, as life is pretty much all the time. It's a very vulnerable, fragile life, and there's lots of power and lots of malevolent forces around, so there's good cause to be anxious. But there's a difference between being sensitive and acutely attuned to possibilities to having gnawing anxiety over what remote things, like what other people might think, what I should be, worrying about what it should be. I mean, these are real phantoms, and yet they can have an incisive, penetrating effect that keep people awake at night. These are not just mild emotional flushes, these get deeply embodied energies. So what is the faculty of faith or saddha? The key, the opener, the one when the Buddha saw his 5 former colleagues, he said, now bring forth your faith, your saddha. So at that time they were still trainees, they really didn't have a good relationship with him anymore. They felt he'd left them. They see him coming in to the park. He looks extremely bright, steady, radiant. Interesting. And he says, have you ever seen me look like this before? And they said, no. And immediately they felt moved to get up, prepare a seat, put washing water, get him to sit down. They were that moved just by his demeanour. He said, now bring forth your faith. Means you listen up. For those who can listen, who can hearken. So what is this hearkening, listening? It means that one's very open, tuned in. You don't have a lot of beliefs or ideas or strategies or just really listening. Something worthwhile here. Listen up. Faculty of energy. One feels vigour. You have a resource for effort. If you have no energy or low energy, it's very difficult to make an effort. Even the effort to restrain, you just get kind of indolent and sluggish. So energy's got to be present, and this is harnessed energy. It's not rushing out, it's gathered and collected. Therefore one can make a persistent, steady, quality, mediated, reflected upon effort. Not just hasty impulse, not wild ideas, but carefully negotiated, moderated, attuned, persistent application. So the word effort can make people feel a bit nervous because the very word seems to imply a certain sort of struggling, weightlifting quality, and at times that may be necessary. One would say the baseline of it is there is application of heart. One's heart, one's motivation is applied. It's not just left swinging around to pick up whatever goes on. It's applied. It's applied by listening, by faith, by attention, and it's stewarded by mindfulness, sati. It's the faculty of energy. Aroused by faith, because one recognises something here is worth listening to, something here is worth opening up to. Therefore, I am already, something's begun. I'm rising up. That's energy. It's not, it's a potential. So we distinguish between energy and effort, though they're obviously closely aligned. The energy arises, therefore we can make an effort. Where does energy arise from? We recognise something beautiful, something worthwhile, something encouraging, therefore I rise. Sati, mindfulness, one is able to bear something in mind, stay attentive to it for a long period of time. Not flickering, steady. One is able to pore over it. So as receive it, attend to it, acts as a foundation for sampajanya, clear, direct knowingness. So mindfulness is applied and it's placed, carefully placed around a chosen theme or object, and it holds that focus and it listens in to what's going on and is receptive to that. Therefore, certain qualities arise. So it's a very significant factor. It doesn't imply minute pinpoint. That's not specified. One can listen to teachings and bear them in mind. You can walk up and down, focusing on your entire body as it walks up and down. You can bear the sense of having a retreat in mind. This is a retreat. This means stay focused on these themes. So these are all qualities that mindfulness encompasses, and they encompass, the idea is to encompass beneficial qualities. There where faith has arisen. So you encompass those and you stay with it. Your energy is therefore contained within that frame of reference, and if it drifts out into ill will, doubt, worry, you wait a minute, you re-establish the correct frame of reference, encourage, and you begin to, first of all, establish samadhi or concentration. This is the thing you want to bear in mind, stay with it, keep drinking in those good qualities. So samadhi is a gathering, a strengthening and a firming up around what has the good qualities that have arisen. And mindfulness, and so this means that the good qualities become stronger, more resolute, more deeply felt. The bad qualities have less access, don't get fed, fade out, starved. Wisdom, one begins to recognise, that was that. That's how that faded out. That's what caused it to arise. That's what stopped it. It was based upon an illusion, a delusion, a misapprehension, craving, passion, whatever. Right. That's where it begins, and that's where it ends. And the pathway becomes cleared. This is an oversight. This is where mindfulness was lost. This is where a sense faculty dominated, without understanding. Therefore, so that one is able to, correct that. A kind of graduated training. Because, the case is that, we may have, our wood may be quite dry for a while. And then, no problem, everything's fine, it's great, good. Then something you feel offended, or why does she always do that? I'm fed up with this. The irritation begins, and then it takes over. Irritation because of what? Thinking mind organises, focuses on details that are problematic, disappointing, true, not favourable, true, not favourable. But then you don't give it a lot of attention. You attend to it enough to know this is where there's a triggering, this is where there's a wound, this is where there's a weak spot, this is where things are not strong. We return to where there is strength, clarity, where the faith, energy, and so forth are present, and look at the weakness or the confusion that caused the citta to run out and start fighting with things that it has no control over. So it just gets itself continually snarled up, or craving for things it cannot possibly absorb. You can't absorb senses, they drain out. Sense contact, the energy rushes through and it's finished. And citta hungry. So citta's hungry, so well look, there's something better you can go to. So then eventually loses that direction, that running out into thought, sight, touch, so forth. Citta doesn't want to do that. It doesn't want to do it. It's maybe disappointing, uncomfortable, well, therefore, don't go there. Yeah. Or look at the mental constructions that make things uncomfortable. How we can create the way I want it to be, the people I want to be with, times when I feel good. We can kind of create our own programs and structures and volitions, and then things don't cooperate with that. And we get annoyed, disappointed, can't practice here. You know? Somebody walked past my kuti, I can't practice here. You know, somebody saying, monk saying, you can't be mindful with other people in the hall. It's impossible to be mindful with other people in the hall. Okay. So, where did you create that one from? And how many thousands of years has mindfulness been practiced by people sitting in a hall with a teacher who's practiced sitting in a hall, and yet so nobody's been able to be mindful? Well, you know, how do you construct that? Because we have the ideals about noble solitude and sitting under a tree on your own, that kind of thing. And yeah, okay. That's what. Yeah, good. But does that mean that's the only? You created an obstacle. You've tried to manipulate the world to fit your ideals. You know, wouldn't it be better to actually shift your ideals into something more pragmatic? Mm. 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 But the untrained citta just rushes out particularly into views and opinions. As the saying is, you know, the nobility, the kshatriyas, the aristocracy, they squabble over sense pleasures, samanas squabble over views and opinions. The big one, you know. Because, of course, a lot of the teachings are held intellectually. And the scenarios in the sutras are held intellectually. So we can fantasize about, you know, Buddha sitting under a tree, and make that into something that causes a hindrance for our practice. Because I haven't got my own tree. There's birds chirping in it. And, you know, but there is a tree. There is a very good tree that we all have, and it's called the spine. You make your body your tree. You sit under that. You sit with it. That one. So this is the. I very much encourage embodiment. It is sketched in many places in the sutras as being kind of matter of fact. Well, you know, you attain the deathless in your body, you touch it in your body. Body is the first establishment of mindfulness. You can't get anywhere without mindfulness of body. You know, it's kind of placed there. You know, and you know, we can recognize, perhaps, if we do want to do some figuring, in a situation in 5th century BC India where there's no internet, no clocks, no books, no calendars, no to-do lists, no appointments, no traffic, no signs, no symbols, no walls plastered with this, that and the other, no words written on screens, no words, no concepts, no clocks, no time, no figures, no numbers. They're not happening. So all that, these symbols and concepts, that for us are the world. We orient around that. You know, we talk it. We say 8 o'clock Thursday. You know, we talk it. That's where we live. And it's, where is that? You know, it's a very handy, it's abstraction, isn't it? So living like that, and often propelled to make those qualities dominant. 8 o'clock on Thursday, otherwise you get fired. 7:30, otherwise you'll be late and shame will descend upon you. Kind of thing. The bell goes at 11:30, not 11:32, because when we're waiting for our meal, it should have turned up at 11:30, and it's 11:35. What a number can do to you. Turning gratitude into irritation. You get any food any time of the day. You think, oh, wonderful. We can hold these numbers and get impatient, restless. Time. Now, if that's not there, you know, if that's not there, how do you orient? What do you orientate around? Well, you have to orientate around sight, sound, touch, so forth. Yeah, so you come into the direct world, and if you turn down the eyes, you know, as you're encouraged to restrain the faculties, what comes up with the inner sensitivities of the body, which are key to samadhi. So we have what's called the interior sense, or introceptive, which means how we experience breathing, tension, spaciousness, restriction, pressure. We kind of get an immediate recognition of the body internally. You feel sick, you feel tight, knotted up in your belly, you feel open in your chest, you feel blocked in your head somewhere, interior sense, or you feel very open. If it feels open, it's wonderful. You feel bright. The extroceptive sense, this body senses the space around me. And as I walk, I'm not brushing into anything, the space around me. It's orienting in the space. Proprioceptive sense, how the body recognizes, you know, right leg, left leg moving along, shoulders, waist turning as I walk, right leg, left leg moving along. This flow from one to the other. You never have to figure out which leg to use. There's that swing in the waist as the body turns. And you come into that, it's pleasant. And the Buddha says, I encourage pleasant feeling. I encourage it. Don't be frightened of pleasant feeling. But there's grubby pleasant feeling associated with external senses. And there's agreeable pleasant feeling associated with these indriya. These spiritual indriya. Joy, faith is an pleasant, uplifting quality, feeling. Yeah. Mindfulness is steadying, clearly knowing what we're doing, clearly focused, not dithering, but steady, pleasant, agreeable. Samadhi, saturated, the body feels comfortable, firm, bright. Wisdom, one is on the ball, you're clearly discerning, you're never foggy or confused. So these are agreeable, pleasant. It says these are to be encouraged. In fact, this is the basis. So, his memory, when he was a bodhisattva, and he'd been doing these harsh ascetic practices, but the memory arose when I was a boy, sitting under a tree, pleasant feeling? Could it be this kind of pleasure, secluded from sense pleasures, withdrawn from sense pleasures, the pleasure of being cool, quiet, peaceful? Could this be? He picked it up. Yes, it could be. Based upon this pleasure, breathing in, breathing out, enjoying this embodied condition. This is such a huge turnaround from the ascetic agenda, which was brutality towards the body. So many suttas you see the Buddha's, contradicting the ascetic agenda, also contradicting the sensory agenda. In between the two, what do we have? We have the sense organs intact, energy not rushing out, energy collected within the body, where it acquires tremendous firmness. So much so that minor discomforts fade out, because the inner body, not affected by touch, feels so strong and steady that what's happening in the knees or the flies or something don't even really enter the picture. So, the Buddha says, King Bimbisara of Magadha and me, which has the greater pleasure, says, I can sit immobile for 7 days and nights, saturated in pleasure. Bimbisara doesn't even get to the starting block on that one. But of course, it's not just the fact that it's agreeable, it's the fact that it's wholesome. Because the citta is certainly motivated towards feeling, pleasant feeling, which is, but it's as an energy, when you recognise that feeling itself is a disposition of energy. So when energy is attracted, pulled out by pleasant feeling, or energy is tightened up because of negative feeling, you feel those qualities of feeling and the disposition of energy run together. And when we're pleasant feeling, energy tends to move one way, unpleasant moves another way. So then when the energy is completely composed in the body has internal pleasure. And this also means that with that the citta doesn't go out into sights and sounds, doesn't even go into thinking, just enough to be aware of what's going on, stay tuned in, because it's satisfied and it's held. And it's wholesome. And wholesome is not just morally approvable, though it's part of it. It means it actually rebuilds worn, stressed areas. Whereas unwholesome energy tends to fray and corrode the nervous system, the mind, and the body. Gets corroded by unwholesome energies. So the body is refreshed and healed by wholesome energies, let alone the mind, which is the main thing. So these coming together. And to bear in mind that these unwholesome qualities are very natural. When we've been very much oriented around sense faculties, they come with, they're built in with aversion and sense desire. That's the way they operate. That's not a particular moral stain. It's just that's the way they operate. The eye sees something pleasant, the citta rushes out to it. Sees something disgusting, the citta rushes away from it. If you can't get away from it, the citta gets angry and upset. Because that's how the senses operate. They're simple traffic lights, red and green. And that's the way they operate. It's nobody's fault. course, we can cook up with our thinking minds plenty of more fantasies and memories to make it even worse. Because thinking mind tends to operate also in, which is better, that's 2, that's 5, this is better than that. Tends to also do a lot of discrimination and form judgments and basically a basis for ill will or craving, refined senses. That's not very good. It could be better than this. Feel annoyed. Want one of those, feel better. Craving occurs. And we can do this to ourselves. What I should be, what I'm not. Ill will. Craving, what I want to be, how I got to be, where I could go. Do it to other people, the way he should be, why she isn't like this, and so forth. It can go. It can just keep going. When is this ever going to stop? By restraining the senses, coming into the heart and feeling the distaste of irritation, the feverishness of craving and how unpleasant they really are. That's the beginning of it. But even that isn't enough. One may see this, but also, since here's something better, come here. And that's one of the boons of meditation. Now, it's said one cultivates internally, externally. We can look at this in certain ways. So, very simply speaking, when we began the rains, then members of the lay congregation arrived. They were formally dressed. They obviously meant this is an occasion. Circumspect, respectful. They made offerings of candles, incense, flowers to the Sangha. They paid respects and asked for the precepts and so forth. This enormous gesture of we encourage, we support, you carry our aspiration. We believe in you. We trust you. This huge free will, unorganized quality that people do it. Where you can start, you're getting this kind of lift off immediately. It's already, we're lifting you up, in our hearts. So you think, there's external faith. You see it, you think, this is sadhā, all right? And it's not particularly you special one, but all of you. Just because of the robes and the renunciation and the aspiration and the effort and the commitment, that body, that's the psychological body, that's the heart body of the Sangha, is that. We respect, attune, align ourselves to that for our own welfare, because that gives us something to lift ourselves up with. We don't want to see you just as ordinary guys. We want to see you as something we've got to lift up to. Yeah. So then this is sadhā externally. You can manifest, and can you focus on that and really take it in beyond the occasion in which it occurred, beyond that particular time, but the meaning of that is actually being continually reiterated day after day after day, unbroken for thousands of years. Otherwise we would not have survived. Free will, dana, because of faith. And you think, what have you landed in? My goodness. Can you take it in? Can you saturate yourself with it? Bring it in, so that the kind of, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not really getting very far in meditation, all that stuff. We just, could you just take a back seat for a while? I'll get back to you later. Let's bring the faith indriya on, and then it becomes internal, because you also recognize, yes, it's true, there is in me a quality of some degree of resolution. Yes, there's some aspiration. Yeah, I'm keeping precepts. Yeah, there is that. And so is she, and so is he. And in that sense it becomes internalized, internal, external meet. And you can feel it in your body. Your body starts to rise. You come into your upright citta, upright body, upright citta. And when you're taking that into the embodiment faculty, then the recommendation is always that one sits with spine erect. Because, well, you just do it, and if you do it correctly, you'll feel the energy in your body begins to find its proper balance. Most of us are top heavy, shoulders and head. Sometimes just head, no shoulders. So just that relaxing all the muscles in your face, your neck, your wrist, your hands, your fingers, as if you're sliding a glove off from your head, pulling it off, and really drawing your energy down to the abdominal level, as if you're pushing your tail into the ground and gathering strength there. Then the body energy is going to settle, and your chest will open up, and your shoulders will drop, and you feel comfortable. You've established a place. When you walk up and down, spine erect. Abdominal. So in walking meditation, you contact the external. Around me there is space. Around me there's freedom. Yeah, otherwise I couldn't walk. I can freely flow through this space. Take it in. Take it in. Take it in, that lightness, that openness, that freedom. Yeah. Energy. Energy is no longer tight and tangled. It's massaged. And the indriya of energy is properly refreshed. Yeah. Really take up walking, meditation. But do it with your body, with your whole body. Practice it as if you're centering yourself in your pelvic region and letting that turn, because normally we walk with our eyes, because we're walking in order to, or we walk with our minds. I'm going to the kitchen. We don't walk with our eyes. Don't walk with your eyes. Don't walk with your thinking mind, walk with your body. Feel the space around you, feel the turning of the body around that spinal axis. Use the spine to stop your shoulders drooping over. And you feel the openness internally, the openness around you. Energy can then moderate, regulate, settle, be composed, rather than tense or tight or stale. Walking meditation is to be encouraged. So one knows the body internally, externally, both together. Then it acts as a proper receiver and receptacle for the indriya to gather, find their culmination and destination, to clean, realize. So we touch the deathless in this body.